Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Pinkjewel cosplay, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your very own prop from scratch. So before we start the video, you guys are probably wondering, why does my audio sound different? Well, it's because I got these little mini microphones. Well, I got two, but I'm just using one at the moment. I got this so you guys can have better audio, and obviously for conventions, because it can be quite loud at conventions. And not to mention, I have a fish tank in my room, and you can probably hear it a little bit. I have turned the noise reduction on, so hopefully you can't hear it that much. But yeah, so guys, just to mention, some things that I'm going to be using in this video are EVA foam. Maybe, I'm not sure if I'll use it, but maybe some foam clay. I'll be using obviously a Stanley knife. You need like a ruler and paper and pencils and all that kind of stuff. But then you also need some contact adhesive. I get my standard EVA foam from Lumine's workshop, but if I'm getting thicker EVA foam, I get it from Kmart. And then for glue, I get it from Bunnings. It's contact adhesive spray. I use this spray because it's a lot easier to use than uh, the liquid form in a tin. I find that it dries out very quickly for me, even though I put the lid on properly, and I've tried those techniques to relive your glue, and it doesn't work on the glue that I used, so I just use the spray instead. It's cheaper and it lasts longer, it doesn't dry out, all that kind of stuff. And you guys will also need a Dremel or sandpaper if you want the sides to be nice and smooth. You don't really need a Dremel. I just use a Dremel because it's easier than using sandpaper. But of course, you can use sandpaper as well, that'll work. And then I think that's pretty much all that you'll need. Oh, unless like paint and stuff for you to paint it. And I use varnish as well to coat everything at the end to make sure that the paint doesn't come off. But that's a list of everything you need. Yeah. So guys, before we get started, I am going to explain a little bit the basic processes on how I make props. So the first thing that I like to do is make sure I search up what a 3D model of the prop looks like, just so I'm aware of all the different sides, what it looks like from all different angles, so I don't miss anything when I am making the prop. I did accidentally forget to do that once. So it was a little bit difficult to add in other things afterwards, but just make sure you do it before. Another thing to consider is that when you are making your prop, you need to consider whether you make it hollow or whether you just do layer upon layer upon layer, or if it is like circular, whether you have a dowel in the middle and cover it with clay foam or another layer of really thin EVA foam. So in my case today, I'm making a prop for a friend. So this is a commission and it is going to be a gun. I do have a little basic template that I mocked up earlier, but it's the wrong size, so I have to redo it. But here's my basic template that I've made. It does have some more other stuff coming off it, but I have cut it off for the moment. But as well, when you make your template, if you're going to make one yourself, which is what this video is detailing, you need to make sure you're aware of the different layers as well. That's what the 3D model can show you. It can show you the depth. So it's not just a two-dimensional thing. So your prop doesn't end up just being like this flat piece of paper with basically just looking like this, having no detailing, just looking like that. So what I do is I first sketch out or do it on a iPad or a computer. This was done on a computer, but I like to bring up a photo of the prop and then I will draw over the top of the prop all the different layers and then delete the photo later. So I know what it looks like. That really only works for something that is layered. The prop is layered. If it is like rounded and hollow, it's a little bit of a different story there. It's very difficult to figure out how to make a template for something that's rounded. So I suggest not picking that as something that you first make because it's just too difficult. But with this, as you can see, I already have all the other layers on top of here, but I couldn't bother to delete them. So the base layer is the outline that you can see. And then the second layer that I made looks like this. And then the third layer that I made looks like this. So as you can see, I'm just going to clip this to my shirt. Okay, so as you can see from the first to the second, we can see that the handle is no longer there, and the top part with these pieces is no longer there either, and this front part there is no longer there either. So this is the second layer. So just imagine this, and then that's the next layer sticking outwards, and then the third layer on top of that looks like this. So this is the most outermost layer, and then so on and so forth. I usually only do about 3 layers, but I did have a prop once where I had 5 layers. So working with many different layers can be difficult. So if you are working with multiple different layers and you want them to stick out further than some other layers, make sure you're aware of what size foam you're using. So obviously we're going to be using EVA foam today, because that's what most props are made from in the cosplay community. I know some that are 3D printed, but this is not a 3D printing tutorial because that is very expensive. But you need to be aware of what millimeter and what thickness foam you're using, because if you are doing this and you are making it all out of 2 millimeter, obviously you can see that this layer is 3 times 2 millimeters, so it's 6 millimeters larger than this base layer. So you need to make sure that you are aware of that, and that when you are making each piece for each layer, that you don't like cut them out individually, because it can be very difficult to sand really small pieces. So I recommend gluing, like, let's say it's for this little circle there, just cut out a bunch of tiny little pieces, like squares of your 2 millimeter, stack them and glue them together, and then draw your design on top of that and then cut it out. It makes it a lot easier. You don't really have to sand it. The layers look smooth and blended. This is if you've only bought 2 millimeter foam or you haven't bought the correct thickness of foam. I wanted to first show you guys a little example of a layered prop. So my Raiden sword that I made is a layered prop. As you can see on the side here, you can see the many different layers. This was one of the first props that I made, so that's why you can see it. Down here though, there's 2 layers of a really thick EVA foam, and then it's just wrapped in another layer of 2 millimeter EVA foam. This piece here is just a flat piece of EVA foam turned on the side, has a hole cut in it, so it went straight through the sword. But other than that, this is a layered sword. It is pretty strong. I was holding that wrong. It is pretty strong, not too wobbly. Another thing to consider if you are making a layered prop and it's large, you need to consider the supports that you're putting on the inside of it. Because for that, I used paddle pop sticks, but for something that's very large, you're going to have to use something a lot thicker than paddle pop sticks. So for larger props than that, I use paint stirrers because they're a lot thicker and longer, and they're quite cheap. I think they're like $1 per paint stirrer, so it's not too bad, and they're like this big as well. I'm going to show you guys now an example of a prop that is hollow. This one is also a commission for someone. I'm not done yet, and it is Bomb Devil's like mask head. So this is what it looks like. It is hollow, as you can see, um, and it is curved, which is kind of difficult. Um, but usually I steer away from making curved and hollow props because it can be very hard and challenging with making it strong, and also blending the lines a little bit. So I'm going to blend the lines with foam, like clay foam or foam clay. So you can't see it, but yeah, it is a little bit difficult with those kind of props. But today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a layered prop. So what I'm going to do is re-sketch this because it's the wrong size, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so I'm done doing that now. I've sketched it. It's bigger than the first one. So as you can see, there's a difference. I did extend this part back a little bit, just to make it longer because it was looking a bit weird and disproportional. But yeah, this is what it's looking like. I haven't drawn any of the other layers on yet because I can't be bothered to draw this multiple times, so I am just going to cut out the base layers and then draw everything on and cut them out from this because I can't be bothered. But yes, so you just heard me spoil the second step, tracing this onto a thick piece of EVA foam. I generally use about 1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters. And then I'll end up putting some cardboard supports on the inside of it. I have some cardboard behind my desk here, like super thick cardboard. I'll turn you guys around and show you. Super thick cardboard right there that I like to use for props. Now I'm going to trace and cut it out. I will do a little time lapse of me doing that. Just a side note, I don't have much desk space, so I do this on my floor. I use a cutting mat and I do it on my floor. So if you want to save your knees and your elbows and all your body parts, I recommend not doing it on the floor. Um, Maybe on a desk somewhere, but I don't want to ruin my desk, so the floor it is. Alright, guys, so I cut 2 layers of it out. Here's what it's looking like. The edges are a little bit rough just because my blade is not super sharp. So that's another thing you want to make sure when you're cutting something out that your blade is sharp. Also be careful because sharp blades obviously can cut you. Even the one that I have can cut as well, and it's not that sharp. But anyways, here I've got the 2 layers. Now one side does have this texture because it's a play mat, so I make sure to cut them out the opposite way so that when I glue them together, you don't see this textured layer. I think I am going to finish up for tonight because it's actually pretty late, so I'm not going to do any more of this today, but I will see you guys tomorrow to do some more. I'm back, guys. It's the next day. I had done a little bit of work on the prop last night since I filmed. All I did was glued the 2 pieces together with contact adhesive, and then I left enough room on the inside to put like this extendable piece. I left enough room for this to come in and out. The second part coming back in is harder, just so it makes sure that it stays inside a little bit better because there's no magnets, there's no tracks on the inside. It's literally just like empty hollow in the middle with no glue. Anyways, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make sure to file down the sides, make it nice and smooth everywhere, and then I'm going to get started on basically doing the other layers. So all I'm going to be doing today is cutting out all the different layers, and then gluing them on. So I will come back to you guys once I've filed this and cut out all the other layers, so that I can show you guys what it looks like before I put the layers on and then after I put the layers on. Alright, so I'm back. I traced all of the designs like on this one onto the bigger one that I had done, and then I cut out all the pieces to trace the other parts. So there's all the pieces are now cut out, and I traced all of them onto my 2mm EVA foam, and then I cut it out, and I have them arranged on one of them so you guys can see what it's going to look like. So it will look like this. I have also done some scores with my blade as well, which is some of the other designs. But this is what all the pieces look like separate, not on the thing. I have lost two things as well. I don't know where they are. Oh, they're there. Two little dots. Now, there's also some bigger ones that I also glued to this because they're the next layer. I just wanted to show you guys what it'll look like when it is done. So I am now going to glue the other pieces onto this one and then glue this. Oh, this is the wrong side. Gonna glue this onto here like that. And then once I'm done that, I'll come back and show you guys because there is still one more part that I need to do on here. Actually, I'm going to do it off camera because it's kind of not hard. It's the same steps. I'm going to glue along here some strips, just like down there because this gun has like ribs in it down here. So I'm going to do that for that part. And then I'll come back and show you guys what it's looking like after that. Alright guys, so I'm back. My hands are dirty. They're covered in the glue. And here is what it's looking like so far. Now I added that bit along the top that I said I was going to add. Sanded down everything, glued on both sides. Cut in some details with my knife. And yeah, all I have to do now is add the bit that goes across here. And then the trigger. And then I have to cover it in some clay foam. I actually think I'm going to do the clay foam before I do the trigger just because I need to get it in here and that's going to be probably too hard. So I will see you guys in maybe a day or two when the foam clay has dried. It might end up being this afternoon. I don't know. Depends how long it takes for the foam clay to dry. So I'm going to add that on. I'm going to do a little bit of a video to show you guys how I add it on because it can be tricky to add it on. There's a specific technique that you need to do it. So yeah, I'll film it and I'll voice over what I'm doing. Hey guys, welcome back to Voice Over Me. First, what I'm doing is I've just poured some water into the lid of the tub and now I'm rolling some of the foam into a log so I can put it along the seam. And then what I do after that is I spread some water along the log that I've made and then place it along the seam that I'm trying to cover. And then with my hand and with some more water, I will just smooth out the foam clay till it's nice and smooth. As you can see, I'm doing that right here. It does take a little bit of working to try and get it like smooth without fingerprints. You should probably wear gloves if you don't want fingerprints, or just make sure there's no air bubbles in it and it's nice and stuck down to the foam pieces. But yeah, this can take a little bit of working. It took me a couple of tries to figure out how to use it properly, and even now I mess it up a little bit. So now just sit back and relax while I do the rest of it. I'm back. I have now glued on these two pieces here, sanded it down so it's nice and level, and I have sanded it all around the edges, made sure everything is smooth, and now all I have to do is paint it. So the painting step, not too difficult. First I just layer it in black, and then after the black I will do the detailing with silver. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not too much to it, and I don't think I'm going to show the painting process because it takes a long time because I have to do multiple layers. So I think I'm just going to come back and show you guys when it's done because it's a pretty simple process just painting it. I'll be back. I am now back, guys. It has been a couple hours since I updated you. I have been letting the prop dry. I painted it all, so here's this piece all painted. It's still kind of like in the in-between drying stage where if I rest it up against something, it might accidentally fuse to it. There is a bug flying around here. It might fuse to it. So it's covered in some baking paper at the moment, but here is what it looks like. Just so everyone knows, this is not real. It's just a prop. There is no way for anything to come out. It's made out of foam. And yeah, so that's what it's looking like now. This prop is now all done, and I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial on how to make your own prop from scratch. Happy cosplaying, everyone. Bye.